The increase in food prices is a real challenge for meeting the needs of people who are struggling to put food on the table across the country. Our food banks are seeing prices that are 2 to 3 times what they were just 9 months ago.
Our clients, they're sharing with us, that the rising food cost is something that is a huge stressor right now for them. It's something that they just can't afford.
I'm come here because I need food for my family. You know why? Because the stores is very expensive, the food, and my money is not enough.
The shock that COVID's induced is so widespread and so far-reaching because it affects sort of all the corners of the economy. So labor shortages tied up with logistics challenges, I think, are probably the sort of proximate causes for most of the prices increases we're seeing.
It's a product of China, right? The secret for us is really staying ahead of the pipeline. I used to commit to a purchase 6 weeks in advance of when it's actually needed. And now I've extended that lead time to perhaps 8 to 10 weeks.
It's going to be an expensive Thanksgiving. Turkey is not going to cost like the way it was. And they're not giving out turkey, so thank God they're giving out the chicken. So we're going to get that for our families.
Shalom. I'd like to give out undergoing praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash, like your double honors to our apostles and elders, great millstone. Salutations to our sincere Akim, pushing his word across the four corners of the world. And this is a quick news update, and this is from newsweek.com, and the title says, Forgotten Cost of Inflation, Food Banks Worry How They'll Feed Families Through Holidays. And this was published on November the 10th, 2021. U.S. food banks are concerned about the upcoming holiday season as higher costs and limited availability leave some unsure if they'll have the necessary supplies to get through the holiday season, the Associated Press reported. For food banks, the costs are 2 to 3 times what they used to be. According to the AP, some families may get reduced servings or substitutions for staples such as peanut butter, which costs nearly double what it did a year ago. Michael Altfest, the Oakland Food Bank's Director of Community Engagement, told the AP the cost of canned green beans and peaches is up nearly 9%, and in case of 5-pound frozen chickens for holiday tables, it's up 13% for them. Food banks rely heavily on food donation, but now it is more expensive to move those contributions because transportation costs are up. Lynn Telford, CEO at the Care and Share Food Bank for Southern Colorado and Colorado Springs, told the AP they're spending more money to buy food to make up for waning donations and there's less to choose from. The upcoming holidays concern her. The donation cost to buy a frozen turkey has increased from $10 to $15 per bird. We're not getting enough holiday food like stuffing and cranberry sauce, so we're having to supplement with other kinds of food, which makes us sad, she told the AP. And that's beautiful that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is pouring that spirit of despair and hopelessness upon these proudful Americans, these spiritual Babylonians. And we're in those times that prophecies are fulfilling itself more and more, which leads me to the book of Isaiah, the 46th chapter and the 10th verse, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure. So part of the Heavenly Father Yahweh through his son Yahweh's counsel is the fulfillment of biblical prophecies. And we're in those times that all things are being fulfilled. We are in the signs of thy times. And part of that counsel going to biblical prophecies that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to cause great plagues, afflictions, calamities, going into these famines upon America, known as Babylon the Great, also known as spiritual Egypt. So this woman stated that she feels sad. And that's the spirit that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is pouring more upon these Americans. They are in that spirit of uncertainty and despair. And that's biblical prophecies right there. As it says in 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter and the 12th verse, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua shall bring upon it. And part of those plagues is going to those afflictions, those burdens, those calamities. And one of those great plagues, calamities, afflictions are famine, which leads me to the book of Ezekiel, the 5th chapter and the 16th verse. when I should send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which go into these drastic shortages of food and water, which this so-called pandemic was a perfect window of opportunity for the higher ups of Esau Edom to go ahead and forge in this global reset. So we know that Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, he controls both spectrums from the evil to the good. And he's utilizing his left-hand sword, the tabernacle of Edom, beginning with these elites, these higher ups, to be in control of the food supply. So that's why we're seeing across America and just really across the four corners of the world, this global supply chain crisis, where it's causing inflation amongst these other countries, where you're seeing grocery stores being empty now. And now you're hearing about these different grocery stores are setting up decoys to fill up these empty store shelves. And these different grocery stores are doing this plan to avoid panic buying. And panic buying is the rapid increase in the purchase volume, and it's going to cause the price of a good or item to increase a whole lot. So panic buying, it reduces the supply, but it creates a higher demand, and that's going to lead to a higher price of inflation. So once these Americans start seeing this in these grocery stores, they're going to go ballistic. And you see how they act on Black Fridays, and that's just going into when prices are on sale. So how much more when those drastic measures start being applied more and more, that grip start getting tightened more and more upon these Americans? It's going to be that mentality, every man for himself and for his family. So we are no signs of our times. Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai is about to bring a great famine upon this place. So it states, when I should send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, I will increase the famine upon you and will break your staff of bread. So these different food banks that a lot of these Americans rely on, especially you have a lot of our people as well, where you're supposed to be putting your confidence and trust in Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, not man. And that's what majority of our people are provoking Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai more and more, because their doings are evil. They're not trying to seek a higher power in these latter days. They're still trusting into Biden to be able to fix things, to make things better, to be able to overcome so things can go back to normal, but not counting upon the higher power, which is your power source, Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, to get you out of these troublesome times. Which leads me to the book of Isaiah, the 36th chapter and the 6th verse. Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, and that spiritual Egypt is known as America, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all that trust in him. So the modern day Pharaoh is going to Joe Biden, where you have majority of our people that are still blinded by the God of this world, referencing to Esau Edom, beginning with these higher ups, where the higher ups are utilizing Joe Biden to be their voice box for this global reset. So majority of our people are still leaning upon the king of Egypt, which is going to the king of America, the modern day Pharaoh, this President Joe Biden. So jumping back to the article, it says, with costs going up, food banks are also experiencing a shortage of food, and not just items traditionally for the holiday season. What happens when food prices go up is food insecurity for those who are experiencing it just gets worse, said Fitzgerald. Supply chain disruptions, lower inventory, and labor shortages have all contributed to increased costs for charities on which tens of millions of people in the U.S. rely on for nutrition. So the Most High Yahweh through his son Yahweh Shah are breaking that staff of bread within Egypt. And that's leading to a lot of these Americans who rely on these food donations, who are relying on this so-called government, which they are leaving you in that spirit of despair, uncertainty. Because with this so-called global supply chain crisis, which was all engineered and designed by the higher ups of Esau Edom to fulfill that great enterprise, going into the book of Joel, the 5th chapter, which is going to that global transformation, this NWO agenda. And this global supply chain crisis is causing gas prices in California to rise up so much that it's leading to an all-time state record. Because what Esau is doing, they keep on printing and circulating these Federal Reserve notes, and that's just devaluing the American dollar more and more. So that's why you're seeing the food prices going up, the gas prices, and all that is going to lead to this market crash, which is going to this economic dollar collapse. So reading this again says supply chain disruptions, lower inventory, and labor shortages have all contributed to increased costs for charities on which tens of millions of people in the U.S. rely on for nutrition. So this is the burden of Egypt. And that leads me to the book of 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter and 11th verse. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm. So that them is referring to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. The ones are truly and diligently seeking Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua in these last days. So that mighty hand and that stretched out arm is going to when the Heavenly Father Yahweh sends that approval signal to his only begotten Son Yahushua along with the host of angels in the way of salvation via those so-called UFOs, which are the chariots of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. And how you know that stretched out arm is referring to Yahushua, you read into the book of Isaiah, the 40th chapter, the Most High Yahweh stated, my arm shall rule for me, going into his right-hand man, his only begotten Son, Yahushua. So it says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm. So that's going to the way of salvation. You read into the book of Romans 11th chapter, it says, out of Zion shall come the deliverer, and he shall turn Jacob from his ungodliness. And that's only referring to the elect coming out of that mindset of wickedness. And that's when Yahushua is going to deliver them. Lord willing, we are part of that great number. And it says, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. So this is going to that new Egypt. And we already know the story of ancient Egypt, how the Heavenly Father Yahweh, he straight blasted Pharaoh along with his soldiers. And it says, smite Egypt with plagues as before. So nothing new is under the sun. Whatsoever was written aforetime was written for our learning. So all things is just revolving all around. It's going to come right back again on America, but it's going to be a very much worse case. And it says it will destroy all the land thereof, and that's going to the way of nuclear war. And also when Yahushua comes back, he's going to bring fire upon this place as well, along with the host of angels. So while Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is plaguing spiritual Egypt, we're heading to some troublesome times. Pursuant to the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter and the 1st verse, also Jeremiah, the 30th chapter and the 7th verse, it's going to be a time of Jacob's trouble, a time that this world has never seen nor experienced before. So we as the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, we have to depend on a higher power. Look at the generations of old. Whenever our people was in that right mindset or a particular prophet, they called upon Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua and they were delivered. So those things were happening amongst that time frame. How much more in the times of Yahushua's second debut on this earth? But majority of our people, they still walk down to Egypt. They still want to cover that covering by not depending on Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, but want to depend and lean upon modern day Pharaoh. And this is 2 Ezra 1:7. Am not I even he that brought them out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, but they have provoked me unto wrath and despised my counsels. Pull thou off then the hair of thy head and cast all evil upon them, for they have not been obedient unto my law, but is a rebellious people. And that's how majority of our people are in today's time, which you know in a process called reincarnation, because those are the same spirits that was back in the wilderness, and here they are in today's time still provoking Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua by being corrupted, by being disobedient, by being prideful, by putting the God of this world, referencing Esau Edom, before Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. So that's provoking the Heavenly Father to more anger and wrath, and that's why we're going to see harsh judgments upon this place. Verse 9, how long shall I forbear them into whom I have done so much good? Verse 10, many kings have I destroyed for their sakes. Pharaoh with his servants and all his power have I smitten down. As it says again, I shall smite Egypt with plagues as before. Verse 11, all the nations have I destroyed before them, and in the east I have scattered the people of 2 provinces, even the Tyrus and Zidon, and have slain all their enemies. Speak thou therefore unto them, saying, thus said the Lord, I led you through the sea, and in the beginning gave you a large and safe passage. I gave you Moses for a leader, and Aaron for a priest. I gave you light in a pillar of fire, and great wonders have I done among you, yet have you forgotten me, said the Lord. You fast forward to today's time, as it says that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua has set forth the apostles last. So here we are as the hopeful elect, being those apostles, which means to send forth. And here we are proclaiming our people the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But majority of our people, they take the message of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua very lightly. They scoff at it. They make smart remarks. So they're not taking it serious. Hence, we're in the times of serious times with this global supply chain crisis. And that's going to lead Yahweh Bashim Yahushua breaking that staff of bread, going to these great famines. Verse 15, thus said the Almighty Lord, the quails were as a token to you. I gave you tents for your safeguard. Nevertheless, you murmured there and triumphed not in my name for the destruction of your enemies, but ever to this day do you yet murmur. Where are the benefits I have done for you when you were hungry and thirsty in the wilderness? Did ye not cry unto me? Verse 18, saying, why hast thou brought us into this wilderness to kill us? It had been better for us to have served the Egyptians than to die in this wilderness. And just now how you hear majority of our people are griping and complaining about how the benefits here in modern day Egypt, which is going to America, going into these governmental benefits, your jobs, your careers, your pleasures. Because once we left out of ancient Egypt, you had a lot of our people complaining about how they did eat freely in Egypt with the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic. So it's nothing new under the sun. These are those same spirits coming back in a process called reincarnation. So it says, saying, why hast thou brought us into this wilderness to kill us? It had been better for us to have served the Egyptians than to die in this wilderness. Verse 19, then had I pity upon your mournings and gave you manna to eat, so ye did eat angels' bread. When you were thirsty, did I not cleave the rock, and waters flow out to your field? For the heat I cover you with the leaves of the trees. So this time, friend, the Heavenly Father, through his son Yahweh Shai, is not going to look out for majority of our people. He's going to put them into the hand of the God of this world, going into his left-hand sword. And he's going to come down harsh upon that hypocritical nation. So going back to the article title, Forgotten Cause of Inflation, Food Banks Worry How They'll Feed Families Through Holidays. And here we are in the times of the holiday season, where majority of these people back in the day, they used to be very happy, merry-hearted. But now these people are in that spirit of despair, uncertainty. They are worrying. And that's beautiful that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is bringing that type of vibration and heat, those drastic measures upon these prideful Americans. Pursuant to the book of Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, he's bringing that type of vibration upon that wealthy nation, referencing to America. Because majority of these Americans, they dwell it without care. They do not care when they see these other people in these other countries starving. You see the different commercials about feed the children, things of that sort. They have no high regard towards that. But now, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to bring that type of heat, but even much worse than what you were seeing on those commercials. And all of that is coming to Babylon the Great, which is America, where Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is saving the best for last. So, Albarazah, you all was edified with that. You all keep pushing forward. Stay strong. Shalom.